Rain doesn't clean the city, it just hides the blood. On the rich side, it's background noise against glass and marble. On my side, it means someone is going to die where no one's looking. A sharp bang echoed off the brick walls. Maybe a trash can, maybe a gunshot. I pulled my coat tighter and sped up behind my building. Babysitters aren't supposed to walk home after midnight, not in this neighborhood. Not after the news said someone was found in this alley last week. I was halfway to the door when I saw the pile of trash bags move. I tried to step around it. That's when the hand shot out. It grabbed my ankle with a grip that felt like steel. "Don't move," the voice commanded. It was weak, but it wasn't begging. It was an order. "Let go," I stammered, fumbling for my pepper spray. "I have mace." He laughed, a dark, wet sound. "Mace? Cute. Look at me." I looked. Mistake number one. Lightning flashed, illuminating a face that was too sharp, too dangerous for a beggar. He was bleeding from a gunshot wound to the temple, but the watch on his wrist cost more than my entire tuition. "You're shot," I whispered. "I'm calling the police." "No police," he hissed, his grip tightening enough to bruise. "No hospitals. Anyone in a uniform, if they see my face, they won't call for backup. They'll call the ones who did this." He tried to pull himself up, his eyes unfocused but frantic. "Don't let anyone touch my son. If they find him, they finish me through him." "Your son?" I asked, trembling. "I don't even know you." He pulled me down into the mud. That's when I saw it, peeking out of his blood-soaked pocket, a photograph. My breath hitched. It was a picture of a baby, the one I had just tucked into a crib 40 floors up in the penthouse. That's Leo," I said, my voice shaking. "Why do you have a picture of Mrs. Kensington's grandson?" His eyes locked onto mine, cold, possessive. "Because he's not hers, he's mine." My mind raced. "Walk away, Maya. Call 911 and walk away. Normal people let professionals handle bleeding strangers. Normal people don't drag men with mafia-level wrist strength into their studio apartments. But normal people don't find their babysitting client's grandson in a stranger's pocket." "Damn it," I whispered. "If you bleed on my rug, I'm killing you myself." I grabbed his arm. It was heavy muscle under expensive wool. I dragged a dying king out of the mud and straight into my life. That was the night I stopped being just a babysitter and became the one thing a dying king and a powerful family are willing to kill for. As I kicked the door open, he grabbed my hand one last time. "Don't let anyone else touch you," he whispered, his eyes rolling back. "Or him." My apartment is a studio that smells like lavender and anxiety. He took up the whole room. Even unconscious on my thrift store couch, he didn't look like a guest. He looked like a weapon I dragged home by accident. I cut his shirt open to clean the wound. That was the moment I realized I wasn't dealing with a victim. His chest wasn't just bruised, it was a roadmap of violence. Knife wounds, burns, old bullet scars that had healed white against tanned skin. This wasn't a homeless man who got mugged. This was a soldier, or a monster. Suddenly, my phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up with a text from Mrs. Kensington. "Maya, is Leo asleep? The security cameras are glitching." I reached for the phone. "Don't," a voice commanded. I jumped back, dropping the towel. He was awake. He didn't blink or groan. He just stared at me with eyes that were clear, focused, and terrifying. "They hacked the cameras," he said, sitting up. He didn't even wince at the pain. "They're looking for me. If you text back, they traced a signal, and then they come here." "Who are they?" I demanded, gripping my scissors like a shank. "And who are you? You bleed like a soldier, you order me around like a general, but you're dressed like a beggar." He touched the bandage on his head and looked around my tiny apartment with disdain. "You ask a lot of questions for someone who just kidnapped me." "I saved you," I snapped, "and I can unsave you. Talk. Why do you have a picture of the baby I babysit in your pocket?" He looked at me then, really looked at me. It felt like being scanned by a predator deciding if I was food or threat. "His name isn't Leo," he said. his voice dropping to a low growl. "It's Damien. And the woman you work for, Mrs. Kensington, she didn't adopt him. She negotiated for him." "That's impossible," I said, though my stomach turned. "I've seen the papers. She loves him." "She loves the heir," he corrected. "She loves the trust fund that unlocks when he turns 18. 5 years ago, I ran this city. They came for me. I had to disappear to keep my son safe. I left him on a doorstep, hidden. I thought he was safe until I saw him on the news, in her arms." I stared at him. He sounded crazy, but the baby did have those same dark, intelligent eyes, the same stubborn chin. "So you're what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "A mafia boss? A king in exile?" "Something like that," he said. He tried to stand, forcing his broken body to obey. He towered over me, filling the space with an overwhelming intensity. "And now that you know, you're involved." "No," I said, backing up until I hit the counter. "Absolutely not. I saved you. That's it. Get out." "I can't," he said. He reached into his blood-stained coat and pulled out a stack of cash, thick, crimson-smeared bills. "I'll pay you $10,000 a night, just to let me stay here until I heal." I stared at the money. It was more than I made in 6 months, but it looked like blood money. "I can't be bought." "Everyone can be bought, Maya," he whispered, leaning in close enough for me to smell expensive cologne beneath the scent of rain and iron. "Besides, don't you want to know the truth about the baby you hold every day?" He knew my weakness. It wasn't greed, it was curiosity, and he played it like a master. "Fine," I whispered, hating myself. "The couch. You sleep on the couch, and if you touch me, I use these scissors." He smirked, and for a second, the monster looked almost human. "Deal," he said. "But lock the door, Maya, because if they find us, they won't just kill me. They'll erase us both." The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. He was up, shirtless, bandaged, making coffee in my kitchen like he owned the lease. The sunlight hit the scars on his back, turning them into a map of everything he'd survived. He was staring at the photo of Leo I kept on my fridge. "You go back there today?" he asked, not turning around. His voice was rough, like gravel in a blender. "I have a shift at 9, I said, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. "I can't just not show up. They'll suspect something." He turned to face me then. "Good. You need to go back. I need eyes inside." I laughed, a nervous, jagged sound. "Excuse me? I am not a spy. I change diapers, I heat up milk. I do not plant bugs for mafia warlords." "You do now," he said, walking toward me. "Because you think I just stumbled into your alley by accident last night?" I froze. "What?" "I've been watching you for weeks, Maya," he said calmly. "I know you take the back alley when you leave late. I know you hum to the baby when he won't sleep. The same 3 notes, over and over." My blood ran cold. You're a stalker." "I was a father protecting his son," he corrected. "And you were the only person in that house who actually treated him like a human being." He trapped me against the counter again. The fear was there, but so was the adrenaline. "But there's something I didn't tell you last night," he whispered. "Something that makes you the most dangerous person in that penthouse." He tapped the photo of the baby on the fridge. "This baby, the one in the penthouse, he's in danger, but he's not the only one." "What do you mean?" I asked. "There wasn't one baby, Maya," he said, his eyes darkening. "There were twins." "Twins? But Mrs. Kensington, I've never seen another baby. She took the healthy one, the perfect heir, the one the cameras would love. She left the other one to die." He leaned in, his voice shaking with suppressed rage. "He found the second boy. I hid him, but if they find out he's alive, they will kill Leo to get to the spare, or they'll kill the spare to protect the heir." My stomach dropped. 2 babies. one living a lie in a penthouse, the other hidden in the shadows. And this man, this broken king, was the only thing standing between them and a grave. "Oh my God," I whispered. "Which one do I hold?" "You hold the heir, and they'd rather kill him than admit he's not really theirs." He grabbed my chin, forcing me to look at him. "You love that baby. I see it. If you want him to live, you have to help me destroy the Kensingtons." I looked at his eyes, so full of pain and violence, and I knew. I wasn't just a babysitter anymore. I was an accomplice. "What do I have to do?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He gave me a dark, dangerous smile. "Make them trust you. Be the perfect servant. And tonight, leave the service door unlocked." I did it. I left the service door unlocked at the penthouse. I felt like a traitor to the family that signed my paychecks, but I did it. I came home shaking, expecting to find him asleep or gone. I unlocked my apartment door. The lights were off. The air felt heavy, charged with static. "Get down," a voice whispered from the dark. Before I could scream, a hand clamped over my mouth. He pulled me down behind the kitchen island, his body pressed against mine. Heat, muscle, and the metallic scent of blood. "Shh," he breathed into my ear. "They tracked your phone. I told you not to answer." I protested against his hand. "Quiet," he commanded. "Watch." I peeked over the granite counter. The lock on my front door clicked, slowly, deliberately. Then the door swung open. Two men in black tactical gear stepped into my living room, silenced pistols raised. They weren't cops, they were cleaners. "Check the bedroom," the first one whispered. "The boss wants the girl alive. She knows where the beggar is." My heart hammered against my ribs. They wanted me because of him. The king didn't look scared. He looked bored. He reached for the heavy chef's knife on the counter, the one I used to chop vegetables. He moved faster than I could track. He was injured, bleeding, but he launched himself over the counter like a shadow. He took the first man down with a brutal, sickening crack, a throat chop that dropped him instantly. The second man turned to fire. Thud. The king had thrown the knife, dead center. The man collapsed without a sound. Two bodies lay on my rug. The king stood over them, breathing hard, fresh blood seeping through the bandages on his side. He looked at me and his eyes were wild, feral. "Pack a bag," he ordered. I stared at the bodies. "You killed them," I whispered, trembling. "You just killed them in my living room." "I cleaned up your mess," he growled. He walked over and grabbed my face, his fingers leaving a smear of red on my cheek. "Listen to me, Maya. You are burned. Your apartment is compromised. They know who you are." He leaned in, his voice leaving no room for argument. "You have two choices, Maya. Stay here and explain the dead bodies to the police, or come with me, reclaim my kingdom, and save the children." Tears stung my eyes. "I hate you." He wiped the blood from my cheek with his thumb and smirked. "Get in line, sweetheart. Now move." We were running. I was sitting in the passenger seat of a stolen car. He was driving one-handed, his eyes scanning the mirrors like a radar. The city blurred past us, neon lights, rain, and the life I used to know disappearing in the rearview mirror. My life was over. The babysitter was dead. The accomplice was born. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my lap. "Don't look at it," he warned, his voice tight with pain. "I have to," I said, my hands shaking. "It might be Mrs. Kensington. Maybe she knows." I looked down. The screen lit up. It wasn't Mrs. Kensington, and it wasn't a text. It was a photo. My blood ran cold. The photo wasn't from yesterday. It was from right now, taken through the back window of this car. It showed the back of my head and the king's profile. "They're following us," I screamed. "They're right behind us." "Hold on," he shouted. He spun the wheel hard to the left. We drifted around a corner, tires screaming against the wet pavement. He didn't look panicked. He looked like he was exactly where he belonged, in the chaos. He popped the glove box open. Inside was a gun, black, sleek, and terrifyingly heavy. He shoved it into my hands. The metal was cold against my skin. "Do you know how to use this?" he asked, glancing at me. "No," I yelled, staring at the weapon like it was a venomous snake. "I'm a nanny. I fix boo-boos. I don't shoot people." He looked at me then, with an intensity that burned hotter than the engine. "Point, shoot. Don't hesitate," he commanded, "because if they get you, they get my son, and I won't let that happen." He leaned over. For a split second, I thought he was going to push me out of the car to save himself. Instead, he grabbed the back of my neck and kissed me, hard, desperate, a kiss that tasted like iron and adrenaline. It wasn't romantic, it was a seal, a promise of violence. He pulled back, his eyes blazing in the dark. "Welcome to the war, Maya." I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't have to. He drove like a madman, weaving through alleys and underpasses until the headlights behind us disappeared. We ditched the car under a bridge in the industrial district and walked the last mile in the rain. He led me to a rusted steel door behind a meatpacking plant. It looked like an abandoned freezer. "Home sweet home," he grunted, punching a code into a hidden keypad. The door hissed open. Inside wasn't a freezer. It was a bunker. Concrete walls, a cot in the corner, and a table loaded with monitors. Surveillance screens, dozens of them. And on every screen was the Kensington penthouse. I stared at the monitors, the nursery, the living room, the hallway. He hadn't just been watching me. He'd been watching everything. "You wired the house," I whispered. I needed to know my son was still breathing, he said. He stumbled toward the cot and collapsed, the adrenaline finally wearing off. Fresh blood soaked through his shirt, turning the white fabric crimson. "You're bleeding out," I said, dropping the gun on the table. It made a heavy, terrifying sound. "I've had worse," he wheezed. "There's a med kit under the sink. Sew me up." I should have let him bleed. I should have grabbed the gun and run. But I thought of the two babies, the heir in the penthouse and the spare hidden in the dark. I grabbed the kit. My hands shook as I threaded the needle. He sat on the edge of the cot, shirtless, watching me. The air in the bunker was cold, but his skin was burning hot. "If you faint," I muttered, pushing the needle into his skin, "I'm leaving you here." He didn't flinch. He just watched my face. "You won't leave. You're too curious. And you're too kind." "I'm not kind," I said, tying off the stitch. "I'm terrified." He reached out and caught my hand. His thumb brushed my wrist, right over my pulse. It was racing. "Fear keeps you alive, Maya. Comfort gets you killed." He pulled me closer. For a moment, in that cold concrete box, the war felt far away. It was just the smell of antiseptic, rain, and him. "Tomorrow," he said, his voice low and serious, "you go back." I pulled away. "What? They know who I am. You said I was burned." "To the hitmen, yes, but not to Mrs. Kensington," he said. "She doesn't know you're with me yet. She just thinks you're a flaky babysitter who missed a shift." He stood up, ignoring the fresh stitches. He walked to the wall and monitors and pointed to the nursery cam. "You go back. You apologize. You say you were sick." "And then?" I asked. He turned to me, his eyes hard as flint. "And then you find the safe in her husband's office because the location of the second twin isn't in her head. It's in a file locked inside that wall." "You want me to rob them?" I asked. "I want you to steal back a life," he said. He picked up the gun from the table and held it out to me again. "Take it. Hide it in your bag, because once you open that safe, you're not the nanny anymore. You're the target." I took the gun. It felt heavier this time. He was right. There was no going back. "Get some sleep, Maya," he said, turning back to the screens. The war starts at breakfast.
They survived the night, but the war has just begun. In episode 2, the nanny and the king infiltrate the penthouse. Hit like and subscribe right now. You do not want to miss the heist.